Hey guys, Chris here from Carolette Miniature Horses. Good morning. It's another beautiful sunny spring day. We're now approaching the end of April, so it's getting quite warm during the days. I'll soon need to get out of my sweatshirt. But something I wanted to mention this morning, now that the days are getting warmer and the bugs are coming out, we're having, significant flies and gnats and such. The horses are beginning to seek more shelter during the daytime in the stall as well as in the back run-in. And that means that they're not grazing as much or eating the hay that I have been putting out in the field for them. And so what I'm going to start doing starting today is I'm going to begin putting their hay in the corners of the stall here. So there's one corner and then the other front corner. And that way they will have two nice piles of hay. And so if they all four happen to come in here together, because they do get along pretty well, I feel pretty certain that everyone will be able to nibble on hay, which is good because I don't want them to go too long without eating. It's just better for their digestive systems. It's the way they are intended to be constant, grazers, nibblers. So I am going to start putting hay in the stall each morning, and that way they can nibble on that. And then in the evenings, I'll sort of reevaluate and see whether I feel I should put hay in the field for them or just where. But I am noticing that they're spending a lot of time in the stall, especially during the afternoon hours. And so I'm going to start putting the hay there for them. So that's a new little modification that we're making to our feeding. And I wanted to share that because if you're like me, you are finding that your horses are being horses and they're seeking shade. Very smart horses. They know what they need. They know what's best for them. And so my job now is to provide them with some food. You can see Sweetheart here is, beginning to show those signs of shedding. She still has a bit of thickness to her coat, but she's looking much, much better. So that's a wonderful thing. Today's going to be a warm one. So I'm glad that she doesn't have near as much of that winter coat still on her. Just a moment ago, when I first came out here, Shenanigans was eating from this little pile of hay. And now he's decided that it's time to take a little nap. Rocky's over here grazing, and Snuggles is grazing, and then Sweetheart is in the pen, the feedlot, eating. Of course, I'll keep a close eye on him, but I am pretty darn sure he's just taking a little cat nap in the warm sunshine. He's got his eyes closing. He's just resting. He's not in discomfort. He's not thrashing. He's just resting, taking a little rest here in the pile of hay. The warmest, softest, coziest place to sleep. He's such a funny little guy. We just woke up from our little nap. Back to nibbling. He's such a sweet little guy. He's a character. Yes, you are, Shenanigans. The more I get to know my minis, I'm beginning to recognize that they like to nap a lot. Maybe it's because they're young, or perhaps it's just uniquely characteristic to them, but they do seem to lay down and sleep a lot more than my full-size horses ever did. Shenanigans here is back up from his nap, and he's just happily grazing. So I told you I'd keep an eye on him, just to make sure he wasn't feeling unwell. He seems totally fine, and he's now out here just grazing very happily with Snuggles and Rockstar. I think Sweetheart's about finished in the feedlot. As soon as she's done, I'll turn her out as well. Sweetheart is all finished eating here, and I can see she's ready to go out. See if I can open the gate. Sometimes it's so loud and squeaky. Need some WD-40 on it. Come on, sweet girl. You gonna come out? Come on. Come on. While she thinks about coming out, I finished feeding this morning and picking. I am gonna put a flake of hay in that front stall that I told you about. And kind of a look here around the back field. You can see that there's still several piles of hay that the horses didn't totally clean up last night. Some are older from a few days ago. Some were fresh just last night. So I am beginning to lessen the amount of hay I put out, just because right now the horses seem to primarily be taking their nutrients in from the grass. And again, it's green, but nothing is super thick and too terribly lush. So so far so good, but we're still watching everyone closely. So just wanted to give you a little look at the field. And again, every day I kind of come out and I evaluate how much hay they're eating. Sweetheart has decided to come out now. And I think I'm gonna step away for the moment, and then I'll come back out in a little while to kind of check on them and see how they're doing. I like to split my two piles between the two corners, and here comes Sweetheart. She says, "Oh, thank you very much. Hay in the shade." I shake it out to try to get some of the dust out. Sometimes your flakes can be a little dense and a little dusty, just depending on, the field and how it was cut and baled. But again, so here's Sweetheart taking advantage of the shade and happily munching, which was my hope. So that was a very good sign. I'm going to leave her to it now. I want to take a quick moment to show you our fruit orchard area. We worked on fencing this in earlier this spring, and you can see we have a row of blackberries along the back side. And then this is a little fig tree. We've had it for several years. It dies back all the way to the root ball, and I'm just not really sure what to do with it. I don't know if we planted it too deep or what, but needless to say, this little fig is not very happy. It is limping along. So other than the fig tree, we have 3 other trees in our orchard area. We have 3 apple trees. One is a Honey Crisp, one is a Golden Delicious, and I believe the third is a Red Delicious apple. So it'll be nice once these trees are mature. And then in the far back corner of our fruit area, we have 2 little blueberry bushes. And in a few weeks from now, we will be planting the other blueberries that I bought this spring, and that will help to kind of round out our little blueberry patch. So, we're real happy with this area, and we're super glad that we have been able to fence it to really keep the deer out. Deer are an issue around here, as I'm sure you've heard me talk about before. So we definitely needed this substantial fence. We've got the wire at the bottom and the thinner deer netting up at the top. So we've just given this whole area a good mow, and it's a little easier to see things now. But we will continue to give you updates over the spring as we, start picking some of our fruit. We do need to trellis up those blackberries in the back. Some of them are getting very tall. We don't want for them to fall over. So we still have some work to do. And like a lot of things here on the farm, the fruit orchard is a work in progress. So now that I just showed you around the farm a little, kind of some of the other things we have going on here, I am going to jump inside the house, and I'm going to pick up, we have a jug, a sprayer of neem oil that we mixed up last night. I have just finished spraying my asparagus bed here with neem oil, and because I mentioned it, I thought I should look it up and be a little more informed, right? Neem oil is essentially non-toxic to most bees and birds and insects. I was reading like some aquatic animals, it can be more harmful, which is not something I'm worried about right here. So I think it's more of just a deterrent versus like, I guess, you know, it's not going to harm these little insects, these little asparagus bugs. I don't know, they probably have a more official name, but they're these little black bugs, and they have like some yellow and some orangish on them. They're primarily black, but they really are all over the heads of the asparagus, just kind of like nibbling on it. And again, I would like to be the one eating and nibbling on my asparagus when it's ready. I'd rather not have the whole crop go to the bugs. So I have put the first round of neem oil on, and I'll keep an eye on them and see if that is going to do the job. I think it will. I remember in the past we have used something on the asparagus, although last year, I think was the first year that we saw these bugs, and I want to say it was later in the season, and so it may very well be that these bugs have actually, you know, been hatched out of the soil, and, you know, they might be a more permanent resident here now. Who knows? You know, a lot of bugs and insects can actually, like, they, you know, will burrow into the ground, or the larva will be laid in the ground, and so even though the bugs die in the fall or summer, fall, you know, sometimes then their offspring can continue to grow and such, and then hatch and come up from the ground the following season. So pest control, you know, like weed control, is kind of an ongoing thing. But I think I told you in a slightly earlier clip that, you know, we try to be as mindful as we can. You know, we certainly are not organic gardeners. We, you know, if we can use an organic base, you know, insecticide or fertilizer. Sorry, either the asparagus bugs or the flies are after me. But we try to be mindful and use an organic, safe alternative when possible. But we also recognize that, you know, there is a time and a place. We feel sometimes to put a slightly harsher chemical on, and again, we are really careful about what plants we put it on and what stage of life they're in. Something else we do use is diatomaceous earth, and, you know, they're mixed reviews. We have, you know, read some stuff that says it's not harmful to bees and butterflies. We've heard and read that it is, and so, you know, you can't always believe and, you know, take at full face value everything you read online. So again, you know, we try to do our research, we try to be mindful, but at the same time, we do want to actually have produce from our garden. So we do have to use a little bit of a, you know, a harsher chemical from time to time. But this neem oil, long story short, seems to be very safe, and hopefully it will do the trick. I don't know if you can see, this is Bruce's little tail here. He's come to say hi. He sees me sitting here. So, all right, well, that's enough about neem oil. I'm finished up outside for a bit. I'm gonna head in. I've got a few little chores to take care of inside, a bunch of laundry to do. You know, we got back from our second camping trip just a few days ago, so we're a little behind on laundry. And then I'll come back out this afternoon. You know, everything needs to be watered, from the asparagus bed to the garden. I think even the horses, I was seeing some of their troughs are getting a little low. So with this warm, sunny week, there's a lot to do when it comes to watering. And I don't imagine I'll do any filming of that, though. I think I'm going to say farewell for today, and I will talk to you guys later. But thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed just another day here on the farm.